served a billionaire the truth on a silver platter. And it cost him more than he ever imagined. He walked into my restaurant that night thinking he owned the world, and walked out realizing he didn't even own his own soul. He asked me for financial advice as a joke, but my first words left him speechless. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, where are you watching this story from? And if you believe wisdom doesn't come from money, but from the life you've lived, then go ahead and subscribe, because this story might change the way you see value itself. This is how a 65-year-old waitress taught a billionaire the only lesson that ever really mattered. My name is Eleanor. I'm 65 years old, and for the last 12 years, I've been a waitress at the Oakwood Grill. It's a quiet, cozy place. White tablecloths, soft lighting, the smell of grilled steak and coffee always in the air. I know the regulars by name and they know me. I live in a small, rent-controlled apartment 2 bus rides away. The walls are thin, but the morning light that hits my kitchen table, it's golden and warm, and it reminds me that I'm still here. I wasn't always a waitress. I was a wife once. My husband, Frank, was a carpenter. He had hands that could build anything, and a heart too kind for this world. We dreamed of a little house by a lake. We used to say, someday when we've saved enough, we'll watch the seasons change on the water. But cancer doesn't care about dreams. Took him 10 years ago. And it took our savings too. When he was gone, I had to learn to stand again, one shift at a time. The grill became my anchor. The work was hard on my feet but honest. Paid the bills most months. I learned that happiness isn't something you buy. It's something you notice. In a warm cup of tea, a quiet morning, a kind word from a stranger. I thought I had made my peace with that simple life. The rich had their worries, and I had mine. Until one Tuesday night, when the world reminded me that life can flip the table without warning. It was a slow evening. A party of 4 men and 1 woman sat in my section. They were loud, laughing, celebrating something big. One of them, the ringleader, was Robert. You could tell he had money before he even opened his mouth. The kind of man who'd never heard the word no in his life. As I cleared their dessert plates, he leaned back, holding his credit card like a toy. "So," he said, smiling, "Eleanor, you seem like someone who knows how to stretch a dollar. What's your one piece of financial advice for someone like me?" His friends chuckled. It was a cruel joke. He was the billionaire. I was the waitress. He wanted something to laugh about on his way home in the back seat of his luxury car. For a moment I froze. My face burned with embarrassment. The air around me felt heavy. And then, something in me went very still. I looked him straight in the eyes. My voice was calm, quiet, but steady. "My advice," I said, "is this: never confuse your net worth with your self-worth. The first can go up and down. The second is what's left when the first one disappears." The table went silent. Robert's smirk vanished. I placed the check on the table and walked away. Inside, my heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I thought that was the end of it. But the next morning, a bouquet of flowers arrived at the grill, with a card that said, "Thank you for the advice." I was out of line. "Robert." A week later he came back. This time he sat alone. He said, "That thing you said, it stuck with me." And for some reason I told him about Frank. About the life we built. About how I lost everything except the love we shared. And how that love was the only real wealth I ever had. After that, he started coming in every week. We talk about life, about values, about what really matters. He said he was thinking about changing his company's charity work. He said he wanted to help more, give more. And for a while, I believed him. I thought maybe I'd made a difference. One day, he invited me to lunch at a fancy hotel. He said he had a surprise for me. I wore my best dress. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I sat across from him, surrounded by people in tailored suits and pearls. Before he could speak, his phone buzzed. He excused himself and left his tablet on the table. Message popped up. I wasn't trying to read it. But the words were right there. "Rob, you're a genius. The Wisdom of the Waitress chapter is perfect. The publisher loves it. This book's gonna sell like crazy. I stared at that screen until the words blurred. Every talk, every smile, every coffee. It was all for a book. For profit. He hadn't seen me as a person. I was just content. When he came back, I smiled, pretending I hadn't seen anything. He told me his surprise. A donation in my name. He was proud. I was silent. That night, I sat on the bus home and watched the city lights flicker across the window. I wasn't angry. I was clear. He had taken my story, my pain, my peace, and tried to turn it into money. So I decided to take it back. The next day I went to the library. Found a legal clinic that helped people like me. I told them my story. I didn't want his money. I just wanted my words to stay mine. The lawyer helped me write a letter. It said, if he used my name, my likeness, or my story, he'd be violating my rights. I mailed it myself. Then I went home and made a cup of tea. And I waited. 2 days later, Robert came into the grill. He wasn't smiling this time. He asked to speak with me in private. We stood by the hallway near the restrooms. Eleanor, he said, holding the letter. What is this? I thought we were friends. I looked at him. Were we? Asked. Or was I just your story to sell? He started to speak, but I continued. You wanted to learn about self-worth. Well, this is what it looks like. It's knowing when to say, this is mine. You cannot have it. My grief is mine. My memories are mine. My words are mine. He went quiet. For the first time, he didn't look powerful. He just looked human. Finally, he whispered, I'm sorry, Eleanor. I truly am. He nodded. Then start by meaning it. He left. And just like that, the lesson was complete that he never came back. Weeks passed, and life returned to normal. Coffee, plates, laughter, tips. But I felt different, not bitter, just stronger. Months later, I got a letter from that same charity. It said an anonymous donor had set up a permanent fund for widows. No names, no photos, no publicity. I didn't need to guess who it was. He'd finally learned what I meant that night. That value isn't in what you own, but in what you give without expecting anything back. I still work at the grill. I still take the same bus. But every morning when that golden light fills my kitchen, I smile. 'Cause I know my story belongs to me. And that is worth more than gold. If this story touched your heart, tell me in the comments. Where in the world are you watching from? And if you believe that wisdom, kindness, and dignity are the real treasures of life, then subscribe for more calm, real-life stories about quiet strength and second chances. Thank you for listening.